This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the morning of Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. I'm Alex Brown. The city of Elwood is now accepting bids for a proposed sports complex that could cost upwards of $10 million. The project would include a 50,000 square foot indoor facility with multiple basketball and volleyball courts, as well as 4 baseball and softball diamonds. Mayor Todd Jones says he's seen the impact similar projects have had around the state.
I got to see the impact that it has on communities. We're seeing that being spent in communities that were even smaller than Elwood. And when we started looking at it, I was like, well, why can't Elwood fit a piece of that puzzle and get some of that pie that everyone else is seeing?
Jones said such a complex would create a demand driver for the city, which has seen a population decline since the late 2000s when General Motors closed its facilities in nearby Anderson. Thanks to falling mortgage rates and a rising home supply, home sales in Indiana picked back up in July, according to a monthly report from the Indiana Association of Realtors. Those falling prices resulted in a 7% increase in sales from June to July and a 6% increase compared to July 2023. The head of the Indiana Department of Homeland Security is stepping down to lead the Carmel Fire Department. The city of Carmel has announced Joel Thacker will assume the role of fire chief September 3rd. Thacker previously served as state fire marshal and director of the state's Fire and Building Safety Division. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to the Engage Indiana series, presented by CareSource, Indiana University, and Old National Bank. With an unrelenting focus on growing Indiana's economy, we'll dive into each region's unique challenges and distinct opportunities for growth. 9 regions, 1 goal. Indiana's bold future starts here. Discover more and register at ibj.com/engage.
Democratic gubernatorial nominee Jennifer McCormick on Monday denounced an ongoing high school diploma redesign as dismantling educational rigor in favor of filling positions at Hoosier companies facing worker shortages.
State officials plan to let students fill more graduation requirements with work-based learning, like internships, apprenticeships, and military experience, while dialing down other academic mandates. Leaders of some public colleges have said the redesigned diplomas won't meet their admissions requirements. McCormick, Indiana's last elected public schools chief, said she understands the pressure lawmakers face to help employers fill roles, and she acknowledged interest in flexibility, particularly for math. However, she asserted the redesign is, quote, going backward and pushed state officials to maintain academic rigor. McCormick said a high school redesign should, quote, be about a rigorous look at transferable skills to prepare kids for 4 to 5 decades, end quote. She noted the state has also struggled with teacher and school counselor shortages to help implement the changes and to communicate them to students and their parents. McCormick is running against Republican Mike Braun and Libertarian Donald Rainwater for governor. In a statement, Braun said although a majority of the state budget is spent on K-12 education, quote, far too many of our graduates are not prepared to enter the workforce or pursue a degree, end quote. Education Secretary Katie Jenner has said that the Board of Education will hear a revised draft proposal this week and will take a second round of feedback, including a public hearing, before releasing a final proposal. I'm Marek Mazurek for Inside Indiana Business Radio.
A Greenwood woman with a military career spanning over 3 decades has been promoted to Brigadier General with the Indiana National Guard. Kathy Eakin is now the Deputy Commanding General for Sustainment for the Guard's 38th Infantry Division. Previously a colonel, she received her 1-star flags on August 8th. As the leader of Sustainment, she oversees logistics, administrative, and other functions within the division. She previously served as the division's personnel officer, logistics officer, and chief of staff. Later this year, 600 of the 38th Infantry Division's soldiers will be deployed to Operation Spartan Shield in the Middle East. Indiana Golf Executive Director Mike David is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.